Okay, okay. Hello, everybody out there in social media land. We are live today talking about I call it the club conundrum, because I definitely think that we have a lot of things that people get in their heads about their membership clubs. But I am Crystal Williams. I am the founder and lead strategist here at Lemon Seed Marketing. We're a full service agency that supports contractors through building great brands and strategic marketing and advertising strategies to win their market. So a lot different than what most people think of when they think of marketing company. They think of a digital company. We actually are on the branding side of that, and the whole enchilada. I'm from Texas, so enchilada is appropriate, right?
Mm.
The whole enchilada of how you really have a strategic plan. And then with me today is Derek from, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. I'm going to let him handle that. From SBE Odyssey. I have recently gotten to come and know some of his team members, working through a program with women in HVACR, and realized how fantastic of a program that they have. I love what they are offering contractors. So it definitely aligned with what Lemon Seed does. And so, Derek, I just wanted to kick it over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you bring to the table before we jump real deep in.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's Derek Hofrichter. It is a tough, but it's a strong German last
Strong
name.
name.
Very strong German last name. And I'm the director of sales and training at SBE. And we are essentially like a full service coaching and training company specifically for residential HVAC. And we get into some plumbing as well. And I've been here for about half a decade. For the last 4 years before I moved into this role, I was a coach. So every day, coach and trainer, every day talking to contractors, talking to technicians. A big part of that is helping them set up, whether we want to call it a club program or a VIP program. But what we're talking about, right, is a maintenance agreement program. And I also have spent so much time helping the technicians who are in the house, in the field, with how to navigate that conversation with the homeowners and ultimately how to sell them.
Yes, yes. So, I am a big believer. So, I came from my family's business. So, for those of you that don't know me, my family owns and operates a heating and air conditioning and now plumbing business in rural East Texas, with multiple locations. We have been through, so we were from the day, so maybe there's someone here that knows this. We were from the days of the Texas Tough program. So, it was like we were cool before the cool kids were cool, of doing a membership style program. And it was called Texas Tough. And I remember it was $29 a month, and people would come in and handwrite a check. I know people don't even know what that's like anymore, but for the Texas Tough program. And so then it evolved into our energy savings plan. So we've been through it consistently, of building out a membership plan that really we knew from the get-go. Our goal with this membership program was to supplement when the shoulder season arrived. We knew we could keep business going during those times, and we thought it was great when it came out. And then we went to multi levels, and then we've gone back to one level. So, and when you're multi service, it presents a whole nother set of ideas and options. And so, one of the things I love to encourage contractors about, and Derek, I think you'll agree with this, is, to me, if you're HVAC, it's a no brainer. You should have it. If
Yes.
you're plumbing, you got to be a little bit more creative, but I
Mm-hmm.
think there's still opportunities. And if you're multi-service, I really think it's also a no-brainer. Combo those things together, figure out how you can get around some things, which I know this is just like little pro tip here. So, if you have your HVAC tech do a visual inspection on loose sinks and things like that, they don't actually make any repairs. Like, are there some things that you can do to make your offering very efficient yet lucrative and full of content, where the perceived value of that membership program is something that contractors can get behind, and they can easily adopt it, and then you can tie it into their brand. It's like a flipping home run, right? So membership programs, I think, provide a unique opportunity to help us fill our schedules during the busy season, or during the slow season, I should say, whatever that looks like for you. So, Derek, I was just curious, like, let's say that we are building a maintenance program. I know that at Lemon Seed, when we're setting up like low barrier of entry offers, like, hey, $89 tune-ups or whatever, I always tell the contractor, and my team does, like, hey, at the smallest thing, that technician needs to be able to at least get that homeowner on your membership program. Do you think that's a fair assessment? Like, don't you think we're getting marketing should get people into the home, but how do contractors really, how do they make their team buy into this and then start selling this without feeling like they're being salesy?
Yeah, and I mentioned I have a lot of experience working with technicians and training technicians. None of them want to be perceived as a salesperson. They don't want to be perceived that they're coming in here and upselling things, right? Or trying to sell things. They want to diagnose, make repairs and move forward. And so I think there's three reasons why technicians/companies don't sell maintenances or don't sell enough maintenances. And the first one is a belief thing. Is the company and the technician, the field personnel, they all believe in the value of maintenance? And so I think it's kind of like an internal thing, and that we're not going to offer things, we're not going to bring things up, we're not going to make recommendations on things we don't fully 100% support and believe. And potentially for this audience that's listening to that might seem obvious, but I can't tell you how many technicians I talk to who don't believe in maintenance. So if we
Right.
haven't cleared that hurdle, we're going to be in trouble. And then the second thing is we need to be compensating correctly. So we need to have a good commission structure in place to encourage and incentivize and show how committed we are to these maintenances. We should be commissioning appropriately. And then the third is the training. So the fastest way to come across as a salesperson is to not know how to have that conversation. And you're just going to sound like a door-to-door salesperson if you haven't been coached and trained on how to bring them up, how to talk about them, how to ask questions. So it's really those three things, in my opinion.
So I love it. Let's break that down just a little bit. Love those three ideas. So belief in maintenance. So I kind of laugh about this. I tell contractors all the time, you know how to sell more IAQ? Let people that actually sell it have to live with it. So like, hey, if you want
I
to
believe
push
that
more
so
about
much.
electronic air filters or yeah, or whatever, let them put one on their home. So those of you, especially those of you that have 5 technicians, I mean, come on, like let them put these on their home or charge them half price, charge them cost, whatever it is, but let them experience
Mhm.
that. You want to launch duct cleaning, go do some for your own people so that they can then talk about it and experience it. So belief in the maintenance program. So here's what happens, right? We've got a 50, 60-year-old technician, maybe even 40, that's been doing this for a hot minute, not his first rodeo. He really just wants to go in and fix things. That's his end goal. Just let him go fix stuff. Don't make him sell maintenance. Don't make him sell opportunities for upselling. He hates that crap, right? Well, what you have to do, in my opinion, and I'm interested to see what you as a real coach, I coach myself, but when I try to coach people to think about this in a marketing aspect is, when you're talking to that particular technician, it's helping them understand the value that they're bringing to the homeowner. If not, they feel like they're baiting and switching them. They feel like they're upselling them to things they don't need, and like maybe the local news station is hiding in the bushes, right? Trying to catch them selling them something they don't need. So you as the owner or as the marketing person, when you get ready to launch something, you have to instill belief in the fact that this is a good product. And so same thing, like
Completely.
even yeah, I mean, even when you come up with things like, I come up with like gifts with purchase ideas all the time, or like free furnace, as creative campaigns, and they're like, "Well, that's bait and switch." And I'm like, "Actually, it's not. Like, you're going to give them a free furnace. You're going to charge them for the labor to install." So yes, most of the time you're grouping those things together, but when you break it out and say, "Hey, I'm going to give you the equipment for free. I'm going to charge you for the install." You should give them the equipment for free. Like that's not a bait and switch. If it's bait and switch, you did it. Like you tricked them. So I love the belief in maintenance. Like, what do you think are some ways that we can kind of coach them through the belief in the maintenance portion?
Yeah, there's an exercise that I love to do with technicians. I do it in almost every technician class when we're addressing this issue, because if I'm there, like a lot of times something that is wanted as an outcome is an improvement in our maintenance agreement close rate. So I know why I'm there, right?
Mm, mhm.
And this exercise, I call it the win-win-win exercise. And so I go to the whiteboard, right? And I'm like, I make 3 columns, and I'm like, how does the homeowner win if they have a maintenance agreement? Right? And I just want to fill that column. Like they can be proactive, They can get ahead of things, extend, whatever it is. And then the second column is, how do you as a technician win when your customers have maintenance, right? So that we're talking about things like you were talking about, we can have calls to run year round. We can have better loyalty and trust with our customers. We can get to know our customers better. We can get to know their home better. We can help them with their goals better. You mentioned
you become like their man,
yes,
my HVAC man, for sure.
Exactly. And you're only going to do that through maintenance. And then the third column is, how does the business win with maintenance? Because I don't want the technicians just thinking about things like a tech. Like in a lot of ways, they are their own business out of a truck, that's part of a bigger business. And I want them to think that way and understand the business need for the maintenance agreement as well. So I think it's all three. No one loses. It's not if someone wins, someone loses in this equation. Maintenance agreements are a win-win-win. Homeowners win,
that's right.
The technicians win, and the business wins when we sell these. So that's where I start on the belief thing, so that we can see that nobody's losing.
Well, and also you need to make things like, if part of your core values as a company is, being honest, being truthful, being, you're going to provide options. I tell everybody, like, stay out of your homeowners' bank accounts.
Yeah.
You are not in charge of their finances. What you are in charge of is providing them with options that are actual, legitimate, safe options for them. So, would indoor air quality help their child sleep better? Yes. Would maintenance help their system last longer? Yeah. At the end of the day, yes, it does. Keep it. Are you not actually performing the maintenance? You are. You're going and doing it. This is all understanding the strategy behind belief in belief in maintenance as a whole. And so part of your company culture has to be that you're doing the right thing at all times. And so that's a part of your brand of who you are. So, if your brand is, and I'm going to kind of veer off slightly a little bit, but if you have one of those like really edgy brands, like maybe you're doing lime green and orange and like crazy colors, and it's this real exciting brand, I would assume that my maintenance club is exciting. Right. So I say this all the time. Maintenance clubs are like colonoscopies. No one's excited to sign up for that. No one goes, I can't wait. Let me have 3 a year. That doesn't happen. Right. And so maintenance club, we have to give it life outside of calling it preventative maintenance or maintenance club or comfort club. All of those things are not unique to you. We've got to build it and give it some life. And it's got to reflect how our brand is received. And then the team has to believe in it. Those are like three. I know we're on the rule of three today, but those are three things that go much deeper than, do I have 3 levels and how much is it a month? Like,
yes,
really building that buy-in. So I love that first pillar that you said there, like teaching them they have to believe in the maintenance first, and then compensation for selling. So I'm going to ask a big elephant in the room question that I think most contractors like. I feel like we could literally part the Red Sea here. Should we be selling maintenance clubs by CSRs before we're on the call? Should we sell in the home when we get on the call? Which side are you on?
It is such a controversial topic, and I can point to very successful companies that do it both ways.
Agreed.
My opinion, and again, as someone that gets into the whole business and coaches all the aspects of it, my opinion is that every role in the company needs to have a clear purpose and needs to be compensated and incentivized to fulfill their purpose. And the role and the purpose of the technician is to generate revenue. The purpose of a CSR is to book appointments. And so, like, any incentivization, in my opinion, that we should be doing with like CSRs should be towards booking appointments. And any incentivization we should be doing towards technicians is towards generating revenue. So that's a long way to answer the question, that I do think that those are separate things. I personally, I want the responsibility and I want the accountability on the technician. They're the ones going into the house. They're the ones putting their eyeballs on the equipment, putting their hands on the equipment. How often is it that maybe someone in the office sells one of these sight unseen, and here we go, it actually is maybe a house that has 2 systems and not 1, and they sold 1. So I just think like there's a whole process that makes sense. At the same time, I am a realist, and I understand, like, for some companies, they don't care as long as somebody sells them. And
Yeah.
oftentimes the CSR is the best person at it. I just think that things get a little muddy when purposes get crossed versus keeping
Yeah.
things neat and tidy and keeping purposes separate.
Yes, love that. So one thing that I say to my contractors is, hey, so now we have this really cool program, right? So some of the ways that we can tee this up, that's the little term that I use, right? My kids play golf, so love it. But how can we tee this up? Well, one thing we can do is when the person calls into the office and they say, hi, Crystal, I live at such and such, Happy Street. And I would love for the CSR to go, oh, Miss Williams, are you a part of our Happy Club? Are you a part of our Sailor
Yeah,
Max Savings Club? Are you a part of a and for me to go, okay, I don't even know what that is, but I really just need help today. And now all of a sudden is a little tiny crack in the door where you can say, oh, no problem at all. I was just making sure I didn't need to bump you to the top of our list today. It's 106 degrees in Texas. But if you're not a member, that's no problem. It does still look like we can get to you today. Well, wait a minute. I want to get to the top of the list. Okay, well, to get to the top of the list, I just would need to tell you about our program that basically is a membership program where you get a couple of checkouts a year. Maybe we could have prevented what's happening right now, but it does bump you to the list, blah, blah, blah. And then you say, I would love for them to say, you know what? It looks like we're going to be sending either Trevor or Josh out to your home this afternoon. They would love to get into more details with you and help you get signed up for that. Does that work for you? Yeah, I'd love to at least hear about it if they can give me something while they work on my unit, right? So there's at least like you've really teed that up
I agree.
for the homeowner. So I always am like, man, for just mentioning it and things like that. But it is a good way to incentivize them as well. So I can kind of live in both camps, but definitely an interesting approach there. But how do you think contractors really should be compensating for the actual sale of membership clubs and getting people more and more signed up?
If we're gonna elevate these things to the importance that we're talking about it, right? Like in my opinion, during the summer and during demand season, it's one of the absolute most important things a company can and should be doing is selling these, right? So
Mhm.
if we're gonna hold it in such high importance, we should compensate like it as well. And in my opinion, it's mixed signals if we're saying, hey, this is the most important thing you can do this summer, and then we're spiffing like $10 each, right? Those
Yeah.
things don't really align up. So we, as you know, and kind of diving into a company, we have a lot of KPIs and metrics and kind of logic rules. And one of the logic rules is wage to revenue ratios. And I don't want to get into the weeds, but essentially like that helps us dictate what we can compensate on things. So it's completely appropriate, in my opinion, that we could spiff up to 20% of the price of the maintenance agreement to the technician who sells it.
Oh, okay. So that's cool. So that kind of gives you like, just a little like idea of a rule of thumb, like
Mhm.
something to kind of go off of. Because I agree with what you're saying. I'm going to say it in a little bit more plain terms. Like you got to make it worth it to them, right?
Yes.
So a technician has a ton of things that they have to do at the home that they have to remember to where to park, what to say, how to stand. Did they show all these options? Did they clean up after themselves? Did they, did they do all these things? So when you add on that membership club, especially if they're out there to fix a problem, so now layering that on. So I definitely think when you incentivize things, it keeps it top of mind for them. And then of course, if you can show a leaderboard every month, I don't care what anybody tells you, everyone has some little bit of um, fear of missing out and like a little bit of competitive spirit to them to where they don't want to see their name last. They may not necessarily care to be first, but they don't want to be last. And then making a big deal of it, like in your next meeting, be like, you know what, Mason, stand up. Like you sold 10 membership clubs. So you know what? I'm randomly going to double that this month. And so here's $100, $200. All of a sudden, people they get in their truck and be like, I didn't care. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
okay. I don't need to be the winner. And then the next time they go to that house, they're like, hey, have I told you about our maintenance club? Right? Because it just sticks in their mind. Um, that that is another opportunity. We're all motivated by money in
Mhm.
some form or fashion. We may not be crazily motivated, but a lot of people are motivated by that. So that compensation, I definitely think is important. Another issue that I've seen is contractors don't always do a great job of reminding them if you just stick it in a check. So like if it's just rolled in to their check every payroll, it doesn't stick out.
I completely agree.
And so I'm like, man, and these are just things that I've noticed. make a bigger deal, kind of like I mentioned, of that, or even a separate incentive check so that the wife is like, hey, why don't you get an extra $300? So, and then I'll tell you what, yeah, go sell some more of those stuff. We're trying to go to Florida, or, I
Yeah,
want to take the kids to Disney. All of a sudden it becomes a thing, right?
I
And,
love that.
you're innocently doing it, but it's a thing, right? So that's another, I think, cool idea, is making sure that you separate out those incentive plans as well. And then, so how do you think that a home? So this is one thing that contractors give me, Derek. How do we help when contractors are like, man, my guys just don't, they just won't do it?
Yeah. Well, so the first two, right? Dig in. Do they believe in it? Is it something that they believe in?
Yep.
Or look into the compensation again, because again, if
Yep.
we're getting $10, $15 spiffs, that's not going to move the needle. And even to back up that and zoom way out, I work with technicians who make an extra 20 to 30,000 a year selling maintenances,
Mm.
right? So that's gets their attention, right? Okay, so if those two things are taken care of, then we can move to the third. And they're just not doing it. Well, did anyone teach them how? Did anyone
Yeah.
coach them? Did anyone role play with them? Did anyone go over with them how to have this conversation? Because again, I mentioned before the door-to-door salesperson. That's how a lot of technicians, because they're not given the tools or the training or the coaching on how to sell them, that's how they come across. Where a lot of times they're like, okay, I get it. I need to try to sell these. And then they're like, that's the end of the direction. So what happens? They're there at a call, they're finishing up, they're maybe cleaning up, putting their tools away. Oh yeah, maintenance agreements. And then it's like, hey, Mrs. Smith, before I go, could I interest you in our maintenance agreement? It's got these features and benefits. It's too late. It's too late at that point. The likelihood of closing that is so low versus like you
Hmm.
were talking about, a process where the CSR mentions it, a process where on the call ahead, as the technician, I'm going over there. Hey, Miss Smith, I'm sorry to hear your house isn't cooling today. Before I get there, I'm just curious, when's the last time you've had maintenance on it, right? It plants a little thing in their head, getting there and asking the homeowner about how long have you lived here? Did you put in the system? Did you inherit it? What's your experience been with it? Have you had to go through a repair before? What's your goals here? How long do you want the system to last? The answer to all of that is maintenance. All right.
Yes.
So now the maintenance agreement becomes a solution. And when it's time to go over options, we include the maintenance agreement in one of our options, right? And so,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
because we've already been talking about it the whole visit, so we don't have to sell it. We just have to include it as an option, and the homeowner should already see it as a solution to their problem.
Absolutely. So our solutions are where it's at. Solutions and options. Again, stop worrying about their pocketbook and start worrying about giving them options and solutions. And so, one thing I'll say is, as owners, we fail a lot of times to invest in our team when we should. So we don't like role playing any more than they do. Okay. So,
Mhm.
but if you don't prioritize those things, your team also, like, they just get away with it. And I know that sounds so corny, but when we let the prisoners run the prison, it was out of control. So
Mhm.
which is a terrible analogy, because we never want our job to feel like a prison. But y'all get the point there. Of, I can't care more about selling membership programs than the owner does. The owner has to understand and care, and he has to be willing to put resources in place to train those people. So listen, if you want to start looking as to why you're not selling more membership programs, you probably need to turn around and just look in a mirror, because odds are, as the owner, it's us. We are not pushing on our team in the right way. It's not even necessarily hard, it's more
Mhm.
on the right way. So I want to be able to say, did you have access to resources to equip you to go sell this? So was I training you on how to flip a lead? Was I training you on the perks of it? Was I training our team on what sales aids we needed to be able to see it? Is it up on our website? Do we talk about it on social media? Do we talk about it in our email marketing? So I have an obligation as an owner to set my team up for success and remove any excuse that they might have as to why they can't sell it. And role playing, I know people hate it. I know, Derek, they hate it. But
Absolutely.
it is one of the most effective tools for shaking out those jitters and also learning ways to think on your feet. That's a learned skill for a lot of people. It is learned on how to be adaptive and how do I, like every technician, think about it again. Go back to the good old boys. Again, East Texas, good old boys. These guys are not salespeople, right? They know how to hunt, fish, and fix air conditioners. So the idea of having to like conjure up this sales pitch to be able to talk about the maintenance club does not come naturally to them. But when you show them transitions that help them move like right into that, it's golden, right? It's a golden way for them to still be themselves but make that transition, and that only comes through coaching and practicing.
Completely agree. I,
You know.
you know, I come from a sports background. I played basketball in high school and college, and I've done some other sports as well. So I just always think of role play as like practice. Like
Yeah.
how bad of a team would we have been if we only just showed up to games and we didn't do any practice, any playing against different types of defenses, or practicing any new things. Like we all know that wouldn't work. I think even these companies know that wouldn't work. But yeah, you're right. No one likes to do the role play. People complain about it. But just the reality is the technicians that I know who sell the most, who generate the most revenue, who have the most, customers and, a pipeline built in, they practice all the time. It's just the reality of it.
That is correct. I mean, it's so important. Like you practice how you play, and so anyway, I love that thing. So okay, we're gonna jump on, like kind of leads us down into this third belief of yours or third thought of yours, training and coaching for how to actually do this. And so I just kind of mentioned it a little bit, but again, this is a documented, or it should be a documented process for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you can just hand technicians a pamphlet on your program and like go sell it, I Lemon Seed helps contractors build out their maintenance programs, like give it a name, give it a vibe, give it a brand, if you will. And so I'm always like, you need to have a launch party. And the guys are like, oh my gosh. But I'm like, listen, it works because yes, the dudes are like, whatever. You give them food and you give them something to sit down out of the heat about, and they kind of care. So I tell them all the time, like, launch this thing internally first. Your team should be the first ones to learn about what you're doing. Give them a new shirt. I don't care. Give them a hat. Give them something that gets them reinvigorated about this new membership program that you're going to launch. Change it up. Get your sales aides together. Give it a name that they can get behind. Again, I do think it's hard to make people say, are you a member of our armadillo club? Like most dudes are like, absolutely not. So, keep your audience in mind here, but, just having these kickoff and launch parties and then these little touch points, like when we get to 1,000 members, we're going to have a steak dinner. When we get to 5,000 members, we're going to do this, whatever, let them see some little wins. And I think that builds up the excitement in them. But then what do you think most of them struggle with specifically, maybe if you can get pretty specific, in the home, in front of the homeowner? Is there a couple of things that are the biggest hurdles for them to overcome?
The big first one that pops in my mind is just consistency. So there's kind of like phases of a close rate that a technician will go as they're getting better at this. And kind of one of those first phases that they go through is they get better at selling them, but they're also like being very picky on like, they're prejudging the house, right? They're like, okay, this looks like somebody that might be interested in it. And then there's a lot of houses too, where they're like, you know what, I'm not going to bring it up because I don't think they'll be interested, or, maybe they look like they can't afford it, or whatever they do in their calculation. So that's a big hurdle, is just the consistency to again, the win-win-win, to believe that this is in the best interest of all my customers. Every homeowner should have one. I am going to bring it up on every house that I go into, no matter what, and no matter why I'm there, right? Even if I'm there on a warranty call, I'm still going to bring up maintenance. I'm there on a demand. I'm there on a tune-up. So that's a big hurdle, is just getting over that fear or that hesitation and getting very consistent. And then a lot of it as well is to not bring it up where, Crystal, it's like I'm trying to sell you on it, right? Where I'm going over the features and benefits, like we're in like a timeshare, presentation or something like that. Because people
just give me my water park tickets.
Yeah, people don't listen to that. They're listening for, but how does this actually help me? Like, I get it. There's all these nice features and benefits. The features and benefits are the cherry on top, in my opinion. People need to believe that they have a machine that needs maintenance. Like at the core of it, they need to understand that they have this machine that runs 2,000 plus hours a year, and it needs a mechanic looking at it twice a year and tightening things up and taking care of things and cleaning things. We do need to have the cherries on top. And I think there's a lot of ways that we can really differentiate, our program from others by those cherries on top. But at the heart of it, we need our homeowners to understand that this is like taking your car in for an oil change. Like, it just goes along with owning a home and having a system. So it is tough to tie all this together in a way that doesn't sound like I'm trying to trick you, right? Or make you pay for something. So the ones that are the best at it, again, are asking questions about how often have you had to have a repair? How long are you hoping this thing lasts? What are your goals here at the house? How long are you going to live here? And they're connecting this together in the homeowner's mind, that the homeowner starts to get it. Oh, here's how I get what I want.
Right.
Have maintenance done on my system.
I think, again, this is all about persuasive speaking in a way that's not overly salesy.
Yeah.
So when you get overly salesy, you really can run up against things, that are just not where it's at. Just not a good fit. So, okay, let's get to like what I would consider our last little tidbit here of conversation. So, I think the biggest piece of advice, I'll kind of go first and I'll let you kind of end it. But the biggest piece of advice that I give contractors, so, contractors reach out to them and say, we don't really know what we're doing with marketing, and we have things going. I'm willing to spend money. I just don't know what to do. And I don't love my logo. That's normally how a lot of conversations start with Lemon Seed. So we start there fixing everything, getting them with the right vendors. But one of the first conversations that I'm going to have with them is, tell me about your maintenance plan. And a lot of times when I have that conversation, one of two things. They're either going to go, we're not very good at it, and it's called preventative maintenance. Or they're going to say, love our maintenance plan. We have 5,000 people. Okay. And the reason that I think you're either in the haves or the have-nots. You either have faith in it, or you're like, I don't really give it a lot of features or give it a lot of pressure. But honestly, Lemon Seed's goal is always to get a branded program in place that matches your vibe from the get-go. And also it is full of content that the homeowner cares about. So we live, eat, and breathe heating and air conditioning and plumbing all day long, right? We live those things. So when you're throwing out things like indoor air quality and 2 checks, and we're going to check this, as the average homeowner, we're like, okay, I think I should do this. It sounds legit, right? So really curating language that speaks to the homeowner and what they want, but also using it as a brand tool, as a tool to build long-term foundational branding for you in your markets, where people go, I've been a member of their maintenance club for 30 years, for 20 years. And then when people move into the area, they're like, oh yeah, who needs to fix your AC unit? My guys, right? So it keeps you from being price shopped all the time. It keeps you a constant little treasure box there of people to go to when you launch new services or new offers. You're adding a plumbing division. When people say, I'm adding a new division, I'm like, let's hit your customer base first.
Absolutely.
And they're like, yeah, great idea. So think about if we're able to offer your members only exclusive discounts. Like, hey, we've added plumbing, and right now for our members only, we are doing a tankless install for X amount of dollars, only good for 3 weeks and only for our existing customers that were on our maintenance plan. So you got to make some quality there. So I think my biggest piece of advice is to look at it through that lens first, through the branded lens of how you're going to be on brand, and also how you are going to keep people engaged with your company consistently. And then I know that you probably have a different opinion of what is your advice to someone that's ready to maybe launch or relaunch a membership program for their company.
Yeah, I'm loving everything you said. I love that so much. And I love the marketing side of the equation. Yeah. One of the first questions I do ask is, how many of these have you sold? How many customers do you have? And because I want to know what the close rate is. Like as a coach and as a trainer, what I really want to know is the close rate, because the close rate tells me everything I need to know. No matter kind of like what the opinions are, what the feelings are about this program, the close rate speaks volumes. And I would say a average HVAC residential HVAC company here in the U.S. unfortunately is 3% close rate, let's say, and that's just not going to cut it. So now think about what that means. A lot of these companies are probably spending money on marketing, and it's just a leaky pipeline, right? Spending money to get in front of all these homes during the summer, and then we're not attaching the customer into the business at all. We're not getting them into what I call quiet market share. So we're not actually growing our company unless we're growing our market share. And there's a loud way to grow your market share, which is TV, radio, billboards, and there's a quiet way to grow your marketing share. It's that every house we go to will never call anyone else again. And so it's not just the comfort club or the maintenance program. It's also just the whole interaction that the homeowner has with us. It's again the coaching and training piece, that when our techs go into the home, it blows the homeowners' minds.
Absolutely.
It is such a good visit, right? Everything is so thorough. It's explained so well. It's documented with photos and videos. It just completely blows their mind. And I think all of this is tied together in this culture of a company that does believe in maintenance. Because if you can't, well, you can, but here's the issue. A company could just go out and sell a bunch of them, but if they don't have the back end side of what happens when we go run these, that's an important piece of this equation too. So I want to know close rate, and I also want to know what is the average ticket when we actually go and run these. And those two pieces of info tell me almost everything I need to know about the company.
I'm telling you, it is really a powerful way to make those connection is everything. All of this needs to work together to really build a fantastic program. Well, listen, I really thank you for joining me, Derek, today.
Yeah.
We talked about membership programs. I would love to do a free audit analysis of anybody's membership program. It's free. I will gladly jump on a call. You can email me at crystal@lemonseedmarketing.com. And if shoot me an email and say, hey, I want you to audit my membership program. No sales pitch. I just love to look at them, love to see how I can help you. And so Crystal, CRYSTAL @lemonseedmarketing.com. And then Derek, just real quickly, how can they get in contact with you about your coaching services and things that you guys provide?
Yeah, thanks. And I would love to do a free coaching call for people. I'll ask them questions about their business, kind of see what the issues are, make some recommendations. They can reach out as well, Derek, DERREK @SBEOdyssey.com. They'd happy to
We
reach
don't
out.
have to know how to spell your last name, so that's good.
No, my last name's not even included in the equation. Derek
Absolutely.
@SBEOdyssey.com. And I'd be happy to jump on and just do a coaching call like I do for the companies that we work with.
Fantastic. Well, I love that. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for watching another webinar from Lemon Seed Marketing. We would love to help you with your branding and your marketing strategy. And then don't forget about SBE Odyssey. They're doing great things in the coaching space. I would love to make a connection for you. If you know us and you don't know them, you know them and you don't know us, we'd love to make connections for you. So we hope everyone has a great day. Don't forget to sip some lemonade. We'll talk soon.